Smaulgld.
Hello and welcome to another Smaulgld live stream. It is Friday the 31st of May 2019 and it is Friday Night Crypto with Smaulgld. On Friday evenings we discuss the week's crypto stories. Saturday we do silver and Sunday we do gold. We got a lot of stories to go through tonight, so it may take some time. The purpose of this recap is none of the stories, I believe, are breaking news to the point where you need to know about them right away. One of the things that I've noticed about the crypto space, unlike following gold and silver, is this is clearly an evolving market to follow, whereas gold and silver, they've happened. I mean, they've been around for thousands of years, and we understand how it works. You mint coins, you mint billions, you store it, it gets traded, and that's why you have a lot of these stories from gold and silver pumpers, which are always looking for this one big event where gold and silver are going to skyrocket. Now, Bitcoin and crypto pumpers also have the one big event that somehow all of this is going to change the world and end central banking, but you can't point to a day when that's going to happen. But you know, in the gold and silver markets, there's going to be some big announcement where it's game over, gold back yuan. There's going to be some COMEX default, and you got to get in before the event happens. Now with crypto, they do the same thing. There's always something on the horizon, but you'll notice that cryptocurrencies have risen and fallen, spiked and dived for the last 10 years. And that makes a lot of sense because it is so uncertain as to how it's all going to play out. The top 10 coins today are not the same coins that were in the top 10 3-4 years ago. Some of those coins aren't even around anymore. I don't have a chart to show you, but the point is that the space is evolving a lot and it's very hard to price cryptocurrencies, whereas markets have had thousands of years to figure out how to assign prices to gold and silver. And then you also have had 50, 60 years of futures trading in gold and silver. So whether you think that's a proper method of price discovery, we know how it works. We know what the price discovery mechanism is with gold and silver futures. Crypto is very hard because we've only had futures for about a year and they don't really drive the market the same way that the gold and silver futures markets drive it. We've got so many different exchanges. We have exchanges which are considered legitimate. We have ones that essentially just do wash trades. There's all different types of rules and regulations. Crypto trades 24/7, 365, and it trades all over the world. So there's a lot of differences, and it's one in which you have to follow almost on a daily basis. A lot of people that I run into, they formed their opinion 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year, but they haven't updated their knowledge, and so they continue to believe what they believe, which might have been a valid belief 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, but it no longer is because things have changed. And I also get, and most people who tune into this show don't think this, but I still get people who want to talk about pros and cons of cryptos. And I think we're at the point where I'm past that. That's like talking about the pros and cons of the stock market, the pros and cons of politics. I mean, I think by now, cryptocurrencies are a market to follow. It's not a market to discuss whether it's going to exist or should exist. I think it's been over 10 years. It's not just the size of the market caps of all the cryptocurrencies. It's the amount of investment that's put into the space. The fact today, and it's a story we're going to cover briefly, the SEC had a big summit talking about capital formation with cryptocurrencies. It's not going away. So to discuss it as somehow all crypto is going to zero, pros and cons, I'm not interested in it anymore. I wrote back in 2013 the case against Bitcoin. I see people, I don't know if they're regurgitating my points or they're just making them up. They're pretty obvious points about why you might be against cryptocurrencies, but they're still acting as if those points have not been superseded by years of events. Okay, so let's get into, and then we have forks. And somehow people look at forks as that is a negative to cryptocurrencies. It's not. It's actually a function of the market testing itself. Bitcoin forked a couple of times, and people have their opinions on those forks. The markets have their opinions on those forks. The people that force the forks, people have their opinion on. But as Bernie would say, that's a good thing. That's what happens in markets. They develop exchanges, whether they're going to be centralized exchanges or they're going to be decentralized exchanges, or whether the bulk of cryptocurrencies will be traded peer-to-peer, or whether they'll be traded on centralized exchanges, or whether cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, for the most part, most of them locked up in the storage and never traded. Maybe other currencies will come along that'll provide the day-to-day. Lightning Network, you get the point. There's so much going on. It's not worth discussing pros and cons of cryptocurrencies. It's really worth just keeping an eye on what the space is becoming. Okay, sorry for that introduction. Let's get into, and I'm not apologizing for the introduction. I'm apologizing to those who understand all that, but many people I see, especially in the gold and silver, they're still debating the existence of cryptocurrencies. And as I mentioned, I think we're well past whether there's going to be cryptocurrencies. We're going to have tokens. There's going to be a Facebook token. There's going to be a JP Morgan token. They're going to tokenize a lot of securities. Whether Bitcoin is an ultimate winner or the price, it's really irrelevant, because the technology now has permeated a good portion of the society, and it's continuing to do so on the retail and institutional level. All right, so let's just talk about adoption. Some of the stories that we've had just in the past week. AT&T announced that they were going to accept the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, as payment using BitPay. This is important because, and a lot of people also, well, they'll scoff at that and they'll say, well, they're not really accepting Bitcoin. Okay, so they're not. But what's happening, and for those who don't know how a payment processor works, and some people don't, is the payment processor acts as an intermediary between the merchant and the cryptocurrency holder. Now, in the original cryptocurrency world, the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper, we're talking about a peer-to-peer exchange. We're not talking about payment processors. We're talking about a payment system whereby you have cryptocurrency and someone has something they want to sell, and you send it to them and they give you the product or service. Well, it's not quite that simple when you have a fiat currency system where a lot of things are priced in fiat. A lot of the company's books are kept in fiat. So they're not at the point right now, and they may never be, but maybe they will be, where they're going to accept cryptocurrencies and hold them on their books. This makes for messy accounting, and for the most part, the only companies that actually do take cryptocurrencies and hold them are generally smaller companies, individual proprietors, and so on. So AT&T is accepting Bitcoin, and some might say, well, that's no big deal because they're not really accepting it. Well, it is a big deal because it means that if you are a cryptocurrency holder, you have an outlet for which to spend it. And if you have gains in your cryptocurrencies, that's good. That's a good thing. Now you can spend your cryptocurrencies. You don't have to convert it into fiat and then bring it to your bank account, or you don't have to put it into a stable coin. You don't have to hold it on an exchange. You can just dole it out to AT&T, and what the payment processor does is they take that cryptocurrency, they convert it into the fiat at the exact amount that you put in. They convert the exact amount of fiat to send to the merchant. They take a small fee out of it, and the merchant is happy. They receive their bill, the amount of the bill that they had invoiced. And then what the payment processor does, it immediately on-sells the cryptocurrency, probably to an exchange. Some of the cryptocurrency payment processors like Coinbase actually have an exchange. So if you use their payment processing system, that just goes into their holdings, and then they can sell those cryptocurrencies. So it is something that has evolved in the space where we now have cryptocurrencies. This is something that I noticed happening a long time ago, and it's something that is not part of the original vision of cryptocurrencies, is the integration of Bitcoin into many payment systems through payment processors. Also, the concept of exchanges have provided on-ramps into the fiat system, and also have provided price discovery vis-a-vis the fiat prices. So when you buy and sell cryptocurrencies, you can buy them in pairs versus Bitcoin, different altcoins versus Bitcoin. But for the most part, most people are still looking for a a fiat price and a fiat cash out, or just a fiat price to know how much your holdings are worth. A lot of people say, well, a Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. Yes, but how much is a Bitcoin worth? And it's very hard to say, well, it's worth 14,000 pizzas, 3 cars. It's very hard to come up with what a Bitcoin is worth. A lot of people say a Bitcoin is worth, you look right now, $8,500, and that's a lot easier. There's another one here. Australians can now pay cryptocurrency even if the biller doesn't accept it. This is, again, the stealth integration of Bitcoin. We saw that the other day with the Winklevoss twins. If you belong to, I forgot the name of the service that they're using, but you can spend your cryptocurrencies through essentially a third-party payment processor who is going to convert your cryptocurrencies into fiat for the merchant. So the merchant doesn't even have to say, I accept crypto. They just accept whatever the payment processor is offering, and you can use your cryptocurrency. So there's one called, this is called GoBill and Cointree. And I say it's some landmark partnership. But we're seeing all these things, and I don't think it's a game changer, but it's indicative of what is happening in the space. Here's another thing is, again, it's not the biggest deal ever, but the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, I think that's where Trump went. They now have a crypto course. People need to know about this because they're not debating whether they should have crypto or whether crypto is the mark of the beast or it's evil. And you can have those discussions, but that's going to change the fact that this is where the fintech is headed. And for example, Bitcoin transaction volume, everything is up in the last 6 months. There's a lag on the price, but hash rates, transactions, average transaction values on most of the chains are all up. Here, this guy is saying Bitcoin is settling over 6 billion in transactions each day. Of course, they're saying no one's using it. Now, the guy who runs BitPay, who is helping out AT&T to process, he's saying that big business will push Bitcoin's price even higher. And that's been my view, and this is not a majority view, it probably is now, but I was saying this 18 months ago that this is where this was heading because at Wall Street and institutions saw big money in this. They saw Coinbase and all these startups, Binance, making a fortune on trading. They realized that that's what they do. They have trading platforms for stocks. Why not cryptocurrencies? They store assets. They do ETFs. They loan assets. They insure assets. All the big businesses realize that there's an entire ecosystem that can be financialized, irrespective of the fact that Bitcoin is not meant to be financialized. It's meant to be a payment system in and of itself. But I see that's not happening. It'll still maintain those characteristics. There will still be people who can buy Bitcoin, and if they want, they can go off into a Bitcoin ecosystem where they never touch an on-ramp or an off-ramp for fiat, and they can trade amongst themselves. That's conceivable, and that probably will happen and is happening to a certain extent. But a lot of the integration and the adoption of Bitcoin is happening through these on-ramps. Now, what BitPay is saying, or the CEO of BitPay, is that things like Facebook Coin and JP Morgan Coin and AT&T accepting Bitcoin, these are things that bring the mainstream into cryptocurrencies. So whether you like the idea of a stable coin issued by Facebook or JP Morgan, it just shows that the world is moving towards these tokens as a medium of exchange, as a way of payment. They'll be backed by dollars. I mean, the Facebook one is called Global Coin, and we know the issues you're going to have if you're going to get a coin from an issuer who can shut off your coin, who can limit your access to the coin, versus Bitcoin, where there is no centralized issuer that can do that to you. There was another thing that the guy from BitPay was saying was, see if I can find it, otherwise we'll just move on. Yeah, let's move on. Well, here Facebook Coin is yeah. So here's another way that the big companies are integrating with the original startup companies. Like these Winklevoss twins, they've got they used to be part of Facebook. They sued that Zuckerberg guy, supposedly stealing their idea. And now Facebook wants to, and then they invested their money that they got from their settlement in Bitcoin, and they have a lot of Bitcoin. And they have an exchange, they have a stable coin associated with that exchange, and now Facebook wants to put their global coin on the Gemini platform, the two twins there, and they're talking to Coinbase to do the same. So you're now seeing the integration of these types of entities, and one day you'll probably see Facebook coin trading alongside altcoins and JP Morgan coin and Bitcoin and Litecoin and EOS and all the other coins all on one exchange trading 24/7 and all having different buyers, different audiences. But there's plenty of places now where you can buy Bitcoin. You can buy Bitcoin on Abra. You can buy Bitcoin on these apps, Robinhood app. You can buy Bitcoin on the Square Cash app. The Abra app now has investors outside the U.S. You can have zero trading fees for the rest of 2019. They've got a series of, you can see in there, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Digibyte, a lot of Monero, different cryptocurrencies you can purchase right from that app, just like the Square. Now, the Square app, which is owned or run by Jack Dorsey, who also runs Twitter, he only offers Bitcoin, doesn't offer any other coins, and apparently he is looking to integrate the Lightning Network. And that's another thing that's not part of the original Bitcoin vision. There's no mention of second layer scaling Lightning Network. But that's something that is being embraced by the Litecoin, which is the largest community and the largest coin and the most number of developers. But now there's a Twitter app for tipping by way of Bitcoin's experimental Lightning Network, now easier to use thanks to a new update. Again, not groundbreaking, but it just shows these things are developing. They didn't exist 4 years ago. There was no such concept of Lightning second layer. They knew there were issues, perhaps with scaling. You had the SegWit issues, but none of this was around 5 years ago, the idea of Lightning. And now you have big-time development going on in Lightning, and then you have the big block debate going on, and then you got I Am Satoshi debates going on with Craig Wright. There's always a lot of things going on, and we don't know how it's all going to play out. Let's see if there's a few more. Now, the other thing I've noticed is the media. Let's take a look at what the media does. If this was a debate, or if they were looking to be against it, you wouldn't get these types of stories. First, this one I found just fascinating. I mean, CNBC has become Crypto Pump Central. They did a tweet. It just said, yeah, look at this one. Price went up. This is the day it went to 9,000. They just wrote Bitcoin. I mean, that's the tweet. CNBC's Fast Money, Bitcoin. Then you watch the show. It's Pump Festival with Brian Kelly, why the price is going higher. But then you see stuff like this. Now, I understand why now Yahoo is doing this. I started seeing these how to buy Bitcoin in Canada, how to buy, as if like that's a story. Here's one, how to buy Bitcoin in Russia. Now, why does Yahoo want to ask people on how to show people how to buy Bitcoin in Russia? I don't think there's many people that look at yahoo.com. Maybe there's some people in Russia that look at it, but I'm sure they have better ways of learning how to buy Bitcoin in Russia than going on the English language Yahoo. But you see this. There's another one, how to buy Bitcoin in Germany. Same issue. I mean, how many people in Germany are logging into yahoo.com or Yahoo Finance because you asked how to buy Bitcoin? But we're seeing this. But then I found out that Yahoo's invested in a platform, a crypto trading platform. And that trading platform is called Tao. And they own it in Japan. And they launched it today. A new crypto exchange platform in which Yahoo Japan owns a major stake is about to launch after years of development. That was launched today. So that makes sense now that Yahoo is promoting cryptocurrencies. Now, what's interesting about Yahoo is somewhat of a, they're not really a social media company, but they're a search engine. Here's another one. Tao, Yahoo-backed exchange enters Japanese market. Japan's a very good market to do cryptocurrency because they've got all types of regulation that's all legal. But one of the things that's even more interesting, here's another thing on Tao. I picked this up from a Japanese site there. mentioning it, is the bigger integration with social media sites, trading sites, e-commerce sites, and then selling. Well, there's this Rakuten, which is it's the biggest Japanese e-commerce company. It is the Japanese Amazon. Well, they're going to launch their crypto exchange next week, I think, or sometime in June. And they're in compliance. But the thing about this company is they even own a bank. They own a trading platform now to sell cryptocurrencies. They own a bank to keep your banking in line. They have an e-commerce platform where you can now spend your cryptocurrencies at the e-commerce platform. And they have a social media Facebook-style platform. This is what Facebook is looking at. I picked up on this. I think we did a show on this a few months back. I said, this is the future. Rakuten is really the future. They'll probably issue their own coin at some point. This is what Facebook sees now. They want to issue their own coin. They have a social media platform. Well, maybe they're going to have to start doing some e-commerce. Maybe they might have to buy a bank or open up a bank. I'm not in favor of all this. Is too much concentration of power when you might eventually have Rakuten just running Japan. All e-commerce, all crypto trading, all banking, and all social media. And they could boot you out of those systems. Now, you could still, the advantage is if you could still keep your Bitcoin and you can trade outside, but if all trading is happening inside these big mega bank, social media, crypto exchange, the e-commerce sites, then you're kind of hosed. So I think this is something that keep an eye on Rakuten. No one's making a big deal out of this. I think it's a huge deal in Japan where everything could be run, your entire financial and social life, your trading patterns, everything would all be under Rakuten, and eventually I think Facebook with the global coin. Now this doesn't mean that cryptos are only a piece of all this. It's in some respects, at least if you have Facebook and they did what Rakuten is doing with their own, then they have their own global coin, and you couldn't buy anything on the Facebook e-commerce site unless you had global coin, that is mark of the beast. That is where you need permission in order to transact. When people call Bitcoin mark of the beast, I scoff at that, because you don't need permission to use Bitcoin, and no one makes you use Bitcoin. But these larger companies could cause you to use their own coin. So that's a big difference there. Then you'd have to be outside the system. Coinstar and what's the other one? Oh, Bitcoin ATMs. Right now, I checked today, there's 4,889 Bitcoin ATMs around the world. 3,100 of them are in the United States. But in addition to that, Coinstar now has 2,200 locations in the United States dispensing Bitcoin. So when people say, well, how's this going? Well, it's obvious where it's heading. They're opening more and more of these things because there's a demand for it. It says Coinstar expands 2,200 locations after overwhelming Bitcoin demand. Now, people say, well, I don't use it. No one else uses it. I don't know anyone uses it. Well, that's the point. It's a developing market. It's something that's growing as we speak. And by just being against it. Now, I can understand you could be against things that you think are going to mess up your life. They're going to control your life. But I just don't understand this knee-jerk reaction that somehow Bitcoin is bad when it's just code, and it's independent of all of these large corporations. I think what's happening is all the large corporations are going to subsume a lot of this independence so they can track, trace, financialize, do all the things that they're used to doing as intermediaries in order to make money. That's what I see happening. All right, what else we have in adoption? Coinstar, you got the media with the gratuitous pumps. So the other day, Peter Schiff, is one of his arguments was that no one's going to accept payment in Bitcoin. The other one they make is that you can't pay your taxes in Bitcoin. Well, you can in Ohio. You can pay your taxes in Bitcoin. You can actually get a federal income tax return refund in Bitcoin now through a third-party intermediary, just like if you're going to pay your taxes to Ohio or a few other states that have these laws pending. They're not going to take the Bitcoin, but they're going to put up a payment processor that allow you to use it and pay it. No different than when they allow you to pay via credit card. But Kraken noted what Peter Schiff had said. Said, no, we paid 250 salaries to staff in Bitcoin last month. And also he mentioned, by the way, an employee who took 100% Bitcoin in 2012 retired in 2013. So when you hear no one takes it, no one's using it, yeah, not yet, but the direction is it is becoming used more. People are surprised to hear that Ohio accepts Bitcoin for payment of taxes. Then they say, well, they don't really accept Bitcoin. Well, that's actually indicative of the fact of my point that they're integrating Bitcoin into the payment system. It's actually a bigger endorsement that it's no big deal. That, sure, it has value. There's a payment processor. They're willing to convert it and send you the fiat. It actually creates adoption much faster than expecting people just to accept Bitcoin. What else do we have? We got a lot of adoption stories. We're almost done here, though. We got Lightning Network. Local Bitcoin, South Korea. That's somewhat of a peer-to-peer exchange. They're trading near record amounts. That's South Korea. There's so many countries that are far further along in the crypto space than the United States. That was the purpose of this meeting today with the SEC. Fidelity was at that meeting. It's interesting. Microsoft has added the Bitcoin symbol to its Excel program, so now you can do your columns and cells and add up your Bitcoins that way. The other thing that's happening is NFL players. A lot of athletes are now getting involved with cryptocurrencies. There's a few football players pay me in Bitcoin. There was a guy named Russell Okung. He's saying he wants to be paid in Bitcoin. So far, none of the NFL are willing to pay their players in Bitcoin, but they're asking for it. There was another guy, Buffalo Bills. It's not just that one. There's a few of them. But this guy, Buffalo Bill player, Matt Barkley, he's asking for Bitcoin to be paid. And then Litecoin has done these arrangements with the UFC, the fighting, and then Glory Kickboxing. They're sponsoring them, and they have fighters there that are also interested and proponents of the cryptocurrencies. So it's entering into popular culture through media, through sports. I mean, that's essentially how eventually there'll be movies, good movies, not some of the bad movies that we've seen so far on cryptocurrencies. But there's your Rakuten. Let me get discard, yes. All right, what else do we have in adoption before we move on? Samsung and Telegram, two more stories. So Samsung is now also, they have a thing called Samsung Pay. And they say now in Korea that they're going to add crypto options to Samsung Pay. So the idea that you use your phone to make your payments on your Square, your Cash App, use Abra, use Samsung Pay. It's all being integrated into the payment system for the probably when they say they accept or pay in Bitcoin or Litecoin, you're probably going to pay through a payment processor. That doesn't stop you from using the Bitcoin or whatever you have on your phone to using it not through a payment processor. Somebody or some merchant wants to accept it directly, but that seems to be where a lot of this is headed. And most people don't care. The people who care about the peer-to-peer aspect, they are the ones, the original cyberpunks, and they want to do everything on their own, and they don't want all this intermediaries. I can understand that, but most people don't think that much about it. They just think they pay and that's it. Telegram, which is I've never used Telegram. Anyone use it? Let me know in the comments, Smaulgld, if you want to get my attention. I'm not looking at the comments now. I'll look at them at the end of after we go through all these stories. But Telegram now has a crypto wallet that allows fiat purchases, so you can buy your cryptos on there. So you're seeing this integration happening across the social media platforms. We saw Rakuten, and Japan is basically going to integrate it across all of their platforms, banking, trading, social media, and e-commerce. But even the social media platforms, they're going to integrate with e-commerce. I think that's where this is all headed. Let me know what you guys think. All right, that's it on adoption. Just a quick note on Ethereum. I know people said they want to talk about other coins. Grayscale Trust, they're the ones that run the GBTC That's when you can buy on the over-the-counter. So you have E-Trade, Fidelity, TD Ameritrade, Schwab, online trading. You can type that symbol and you can buy Bitcoin or a portion of Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Trust. You can't get the Bitcoin. They've got a few 100,000 Bitcoin in the trust, and they add more as the trust grows. And there's a premium on them. Some people say, "Oh, I wouldn't buy it because why would I pay a premium for Bitcoin? I can go out and get it myself." Well, you don't have to worry about losing it. You don't have to, and you can trade it, but you can only trade it during trading hours. But even though you pay a premium for it, that means when you sell it, there's a built-in premium too. So it's probably a wash. Anyway, except I would say that if the Bitcoin ETF comes along, the premium on this might go down. All right, now they're going to add Ethereum class. They're going to add Ethereum. They have added. The symbol is ETHE, and you can buy that one. None of this is investment advice to buy any of this stuff. I'm just saying you can do this. All right, what else on Ethereum? Yeah, they're calling it mom and pop Ethereum, just like you got mom and pop. But this is all approved. This is FINRA approved. Grayscale investment in the Ethereum Trust for sale to mom and pop investors. Now they have other trusts, but they don't have many. They have a Litecoin. They have XRP. They got a couple others, but 99% of the money, really 99%, literally, goes into the Bitcoin Trust. I think as Bitcoin takes off, they'll probably have institutional investors will probably invest in some of these others, but for the most part, that's the one they view as the safest, I suppose. But Ethereum is moving on up here. Yesterday, the Ethereum network broke its record for total daily gas use. So you're really seeing all of the major coins hitting milestones. Litecoin, let's talk about Litecoin. Everyone's talking about the Bitcoin halving next year. Now, halving is hard-coded into the software every 4 years, I believe. The reward that the miners get, it gets cut in half. And what that does is it means that less flow comes onto the market because less Bitcoin is awarded. And over time, eventually, you run out of Bitcoin to mine. And that happens over a long period of time. But you can imagine it's like in reverse. It's the reverse of compound interest. You're slashing and slashing and slashing. You keep cutting in half and in half. You go from 20 to 10 to 5 to 2.5. You can see where it keeps getting almost, you just keep slicing it down till there's almost nothing left. Now, Bitcoin has already mined nearly 18 million coins. There's only 3 million left. And when you slow that process down next year, there's not going to be many Bitcoin coming onto the market. And this is where people come up with these outrageous price targets because they're using a supply-demand stock flow analysis in order to show it. What they're saying is as price rises, as demand increases, that's precisely the point where a supply decreases. And if that's happening, well, you can see supply-demand, the price is going to rise. Now, that's what's happening with Bitcoin. But the thing is, Litecoin is having its own halving, and that's happening in about 65, 66 days. And presumably the same dynamic applies to Litecoin as it does to Bitcoin. Some say that, well, maybe the miners might say, screw this, it's not worth mining. However, if the price continues to rise and it becomes self-fulfilling, that the miners will continue to mine even though they're going to get half the Litecoin for completing the mining. However, if the price doubles, and then they're doing just as well with half the amount of coins as a reward as if the price stayed the same and they got double the amount that they were, the same amount they were getting before. So now they're imagining that Litecoin might have a run-up going into this summer, and then next year the same thing will happen with Bitcoin. Maybe it'll just happen from now on for Bitcoin. But here you go, Yahoo again, how to buy Litecoin, in case anybody was wondering. Another public service announcement from Yahoo. So they're pushing this. Yahoo has a vested interest. They have a crypto exchange and pushing people into crypto. Rakuten has an interest in pushing people into crypto. Facebook, Twitter owner, Square, they have an interest in pushing people into crypto. Goldman Sachs has a large position in a company called Circle, which has a stable coin and owns the Poloniex exchange, they all have an interest in pushing people into crypto. And that is what's happening. Fidelity has an interest in pushing people into crypto. TD Ameritrade, RSX, Backed, which is backed by the New York Stock Exchange, and Microsoft. They have an interest. No surprise why Microsoft Excel has added Bitcoin to its symbols. They're involved in a very big Bitcoin project. They're going to run one of their blockchains on the Bitcoin network. They're all involved in this. CNBC, here's a Litecoin pump. This was an outrageous pump. I heard this. I think it was Brian Kelly. He said, sell the house, car, and kids and buy Litecoin. I mean, what kind of pumping is this? And this was in CCN, but it was on CNBC. There's another one here. It's the same thing. Litecoin is up 440%. Sell the house, sell the car, sell the kids, and buy Litecoin. It's unbelievable what CNBC does, but they pump this stuff. Litecoin in Forbes. There you go. Litecoin is suddenly rocketing, boosting Bitcoin, Ethereum, and EOS. See, they got to mention them all. Here's why. Forbes. They've been pumping this stuff. There's a story every day, but there's another one from Forbes. Litecoin in Forbes. Litecoin climbed 16% to reach highest since midway. Now, this is a big deal. Like today, gold was up like 1.3%. That was like a big deal. It got over $1,300. With these cryptocurrencies, like right now, Litecoin is up 6%. It's at $114. Bitcoin is up 3.5%. They move like this. I mean, you get that kind of move in a year in a stock, you're happy. 16%. The other thing that's happening is the exchanges are pumping Litecoin. There's another one. This is just from Bitcoin. So I mean, you can imagine a Bitcoin magazine pumping a coin. But you got the Litecoin Summit coming up. For those who are interested in that, that's going to be in October in Las Vegas. But two major exchanges are pumping Bitcoin. So we saw OKEX light up the darkness. Look at this. It's about time to light up the market. And then light up the darkness. They're talking about the halving. But they pump this stuff every day now. So that's OKEX. It's one of the largest. I think it's the largest trading of Litecoin exchange. They're talking about the halving here, expected to happen in less than 70 days. And if it wasn't just OKEX pumping Litecoin, they do it every day. Here's another one. They got a countdown to the halving. You can see that. But the other exchange out east, Huobi, they're now pumping Litecoin. Are you ready? The Litecoin halving is about 70 days away. So they're going to pump this, and when that one ends, when that happens, they'll start pumping the Litecoin one. So halving will be a word you'll hear a lot of, but here is the Huobi pumping right there. Are you ready? The Litecoin 2019 halving is about 70 days away. What do you predict is going to happen leading up to the Litecoin halving? If that isn't a loaded question and a pump of Litecoin, I don't know what is. All right, that's it on Litecoin. Do everything on other coins. Oh, EOS has been added to Coinbase trading. That happened yesterday, I believe. Institutionalization is something I'm always talking about. Mentioned Square and Grayscale. Well, Grayscale bought 11,236 Bitcoin in April alone. There's only 54,000 mined per month, and I think that amounts to 10 some odd percent of overall. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have to guess. If you take the 11,236 and you divide it by the 54,000, that's 21% of all Bitcoin mined goes straight into the Grayscale trust. Now with the halving, that'll be 40%, just going there. So you can see where the dynamic is, that if the big players and the big funds are scooping up the recently mined coins, the rest of the coins have to come from the stock because it's not going to come from the flow. But that's only Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. There's new purchases on all the exchanges every day. But remember, Square, we saw that they sold 18,000 Bitcoin approximately in the first quarter of 2019. That's about 6,000 a month. I'm sure they probably sold 10,000 in the March, and less in the other two to make to the 18. So they're probably selling about 8 to 10,000 a month as well. Well, just between the two of them, they've got over half the newly mined coins, Square and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And then you've got plenty of other places that are selling and trading Bitcoin. That's where these outrageous price predictions come from. All right. But it's important to know because this is a different dynamic than you have in gold. We talked about this. You want a further analysis. I did the stock to flow for gold, silver, Bitcoin, and Litecoin. Gold and silver supply can increase if the price increases, if demand increases. That means they can go and get more gold. They can mine more. Can't do that with the Bitcoin. It's just not how it works. So here's the 42% they're saying will go to Grayscale Trust at the current pace. The mining pace will be set. It'll go in half. But Grayscale could decide, or people could buy, not they decide, but more people buy into the Grayscale Trust, well, then they got to buy more Bitcoin. Or when at the current pace, they're going to be buying 42% next year at the halving at the current pace. Add in 20% at the current pace from the Square Cash App, and you're at 62, 65%. And then where's the rest of the Bitcoin going to go to supply the demand? Now, they do say, remember, if you've been listening to this channel for the last 18 months, I've been saying the big institutions are going to move in. They were saying last year, major Bitcoin accumulation was underway during crypto winter. All right, what else do we have here? Robinhood. Now, Robinhood has got a lot of accounts, and they sell crypto. And they had a New York Bit license. They finally got it passed so they can sell Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, a couple of other cryptos in New York, which is a big deal because New York is a very large population, New York City and the state. And that went live on May 23rd. And they mentioned themselves. They've only granted Bitcoin license, Bit license to 18 companies. And we're very glad to have one. And again, regulation that's going to keep other people out because it's hard to get one of those licenses. Regulation. Today we had the SEC meeting. I haven't reviewed. They had a fintech forum, but this is the SEC announcing it. SEC is not against cryptocurrencies. They're all for regulation of the crypto. They want to do ICOs that are registered. They had their fintech forum today, and Fidelity was at it. I haven't reviewed it. I'll try to get to that next week. But here's a session on capital formation. And the SEC, on their ICO page, if you go to sec.gov/ICO, they talk about how it's an innovative way to raise capital through tokens. They just want to make sure it's all done on the up and up and in the normal way that the SEC reviews registration statements. There's capital formation that they were talking about, but I haven't had the time today to go and look at this. But there was lots of SEC staff announces agenda for May 31st FinTech Forum. So I'll take a look at that, whatever data or whatever information they put about what happened there. Now the other thing that's happening is here's your friend Pompeo or Pompliano. He says, just announced there's a foundation, Defend Crypto Defense Funds. They're seeding with $5 million. This is for people who get in trouble with the SEC. They get told, you get a no action letter. They told they violated securities laws. That's what this fund is about. But eventually, this won't be as necessary. It's called Defend Crypto because they'll come up with the proper regulation so people know exactly what to do. Actually, if you don't know what to do, then generally you shouldn't do it. I mean, the SEC has a page that says, come to us. Tell us what your plans are for issuance of your securities. The reason people don't want to do that is it's going to cost money. You got to hire lawyers, accountants. You have to prepare everything to their liking. And a lot of companies don't want to do that. So what they often do is they just say, well, the hell with it. We're not going to even offer these tokens to U.S. citizens, or we're only going to offer them to institutional investors or qualified institutional buyers. There's a whole bunch of different regulations you can follow in order to do that. But that does hinder the market. It doesn't allow, as they say, mom and pop to get involved. But then the SEC says, we don't want mom and pop getting involved in this stuff if they don't know what's going on. The problem is they make it sound like just because you have money, you don't need the protection of the act. It's somewhat true. They think, well, you have money, you must be sophisticated. No, I know a lot of idiots with money. That doesn't mean they're sophisticated. But what it does mean is that they can afford the loss, most likely. And I think you have to have $200,000 annual income for the past 3 years, and I don't know, there's a certain amount of assets you have to have in order to participate in some of these things. So I guess, yeah, you can be an idiot with money, and there's the old expression, a fool and his money are soon parted, but they allow that, but they don't allow regular people to invest in these things. Egypt lifts ban. I mean, you're seeing this worldwide. Most of crypto is legal in most countries. It's, in the countries where it's not legal, it's the most backwards countries. I don't want to name any of them, but that is definitely the case. Japan is just recently, I think it was today, they passed more legislation, officially approved new bill to amend national laws that govern crypto regulation. I haven't reviewed those rules, but they don't appear to be anything other than a lot of paper pushing. Huobi Global, we talked about them. They were pumping Litecoin. They've taken steps to discourage wash trading in the wake of the Bitwise investment. Now, Bitwise is one of, we haven't talked about ETFs in a while, Bitcoin ETFs, but Bitwise and Van Eck, they have Bitcoin ETFs still pending. There's going to be another decision, I think, in August, and maybe then again in October. They might delay it. They might tell them no. But one of the things that Bitwise did was they came forward and said, look, you're right. There's a lot of manipulation in these markets. A lot of these markets are illegitimate. But there are 10 markets that are real, and they named them. They showed how the transactions are proper. There's proper market surveillance. They don't think there's manipulation going on at those markets, and that there are a lot of other markets that have a lot of wash trading. So I don't know if Huobi Global was listed as one of the good exchanges, or if they were excluded. If they were excluded, then Huobi Global is saying we want to get on the good list, and we're not going to allow. They are try to come up with ways to discourage this wash trading. Montana exempts tokens from securities laws. Montana is kind of like the crypto state. They recognize crypto as property, as money too, and they want to exempt utility tokens from securities laws. So that's interesting. They have their own view on cryptocurrency. They want the business to go there. That's essentially what they're doing. There was a couple of things on the federal level. U.S. Congress think tank says that Bitcoin is mostly used as an investment vehicle. That's somewhat of a cut against, they're saying, against Bitcoin because they're not using it for its intended purpose as a currency. However, that's a good thing, because if people are holding, they think it's a store of value, they're holding on to it, and when the time is right and the price is right and the infrastructure is set up so that they can spend it, they will spend it. And merchants are going to want to get that money. So if Bitcoin rises, and this isn't investment advice, I'm not predicting this, but if cryptocurrencies go up again tenfold like they did in 2017, if I were a merchant, I'd want that money flowing in. I'm not going to accept the Bitcoin. I'm going to get a payment process set up quick, fast, and in a hurry. And all these people that have a lot of money because they got crypto profits, and they're going to want to spend it, and I'm going to want to take their money. And I think that's definitely going to happen. All right, what else do we have here? Now, 7 congressmen. I got to check their names out. I don't know. There's generally bipartisan. You don't have to be Republican or Democrat to be for or against cryptocurrencies. But they want to talk to Kudlow. They want to have a presidential economic advisor to hold a blockchain forum. I want to look up who those 7... I didn't recognize the names of any of them, but very interesting indeed that they're... Again, they're trying to take the government and work with them to bring all this stuff under a regulatory umbrella. All right, let's just take a look at some of these ridiculous price projections. I don't follow a price. I mean, I don't lead with price because I don't think you could tell what's going on in cryptocurrencies by price. As I mentioned, the prices go up, they go down. If it was a rational market and everything was known, then the price of cryptocurrencies would have just risen gradually from 2009 to where we are today, because there has been somewhat of a straight line of, not quite a straight line, but there's been in general, there has been an increase in usage, increase in the size of the network, the networks, the number of holders, the sizes of the exchanges. There's been road bumps along the way, but the thing is, during those time periods, the prices spike and dive because no one, it's still a nascent market. Anyway, let's get into some of these price targets and predictions. Tom Lee, Fundstrat head analyst, he's been saying, I think in 2018 it was going to be 20,000. He says it every year, but he's saying now that as the battle reach 9,000, which it did a few days ago, it fell immediately. I think it was yesterday. He says once it hits 10,000, you're going to get FOMO. I generally don't agree with a lot of these predictions, but I do tend to agree with that. I think if the price hits 10,000, you're going to see a lot of media who's just, they're always looking for a story. 10,000 is a round number. It's half of where it crashed from. Generally, when you have crashes like that, you don't get a rapid rebound like this. This is less than, would be less than 2 years. It'd be less than 18 months. So I think that would make news, and I think a lot of the mom and pop investors that are probably not driving this rally right now, this is probably a lot of the early adopting institutional investors pushing the price up. As I mentioned, a lot of these, quote, big institutional whales were buying. In fact, there was a story, again, I think it was in Forbes, talking about millionaires and billionaires, about these billionaires wanting to buy 1/4 of all the Bitcoin. I don't know. That's kind of hard to do. Do I have that storyline? Or yeah, Bitcoin billionaires. And again, where is it? It's in Forbes. Billionaires are buying up Bitcoin. So definitely pumping away here. And that could drive the price. So let's say a few more prices. We mentioned 9,000. And it actually hit 9,000. This one is saying, CoinDesk was saying the day before, it has the potential to move to 9,000. And then what happened? Yesterday, boom. Here's your Vegeta. Anyone knows about Vegeta? It's over 9,000. It hit over 9,000. Went all the way up to about 9,100 and then crashed down to 82 or 8,100. And there is your... Even Jack Posobiec got in on the cheerleading there. It's over 9,000. Here's a guy, Ben Askren. Now, he is a UFC fighter. Litecoin promotes or advertises at the UFC. And he's a big Bitcoin, Litecoin guy, and he's doing the pump 10,000. Here we come, Ben Askren, apparently a very good fighter. And here's more on 9,000. And CoinDesk noting Bitcoin on the move. You can see, look at that vertical rise. And I don't have a chart of the drop was even more dramatic. It fell right off the table. Didn't last at 9,000 very long. But here's CNBC pumping it on the way to 9,000. Bitcoin nears 9,000 as it breaks through its highest level of the year. I mean, when it hits 10,000, they're going to stop the presses and they're going to have champagne and stuff on CNBC, I'm sure. Now, here's a guy, Bitcoin ready, this is on Market Watch, ready to blast past 10,000. Now, that's not that big of a prediction. I don't mind those. Yeah, okay. So it did go to 9,000. I can easily see next week it can go to $10,000. Again, not a prediction, not investment advice, but these things happen in Bitcoin. But when you see these other ones, you wonder how do they come up with them. But some of them, the reason they come up with these big numbers has to do with a supply-demand analysis. But that doesn't, the demand has to be there. That's the main thing. Here we go. Crypto winter is over. I think that's the Telegraph UK. I think that's tell us something we don't know. Now, Bitcoin in Argentina hit an all-time high. Why? Well, it's because they're hyperinflation. Obviously, Bitcoin is not at an all-time high in dollars. But let's take a look at gold in Argentina. It's also at an all-time high. Here we go. Argentina. This is just in the last year. Look at that. Gold is now 50. Look at that. 58,000 Argentine pesos in the last year and a half. But look at this. Here's a 10-year gold in Argentine pesos. Look at that. It used to be 4,000 and it is now 57,000 pesos to get an ounce of gold. Now remember, in the United States, or in dólares, in 2011 was the peak. But look at in Argentine pesos. You'd love in Argentina to be able to buy an ounce of gold for about 8,000 pesos. It's now 30,000. So gold, Bitcoin, all hitting record highs in Argentina due to inflation. And now they're also touting, as May ends, the big month that Bitcoin had. Bitcoin was the big winner. Oil was up 29%, Nasdaq 15%, S&P 13%, but Bitcoin up 130%. Gold up. Gold was actually down. Well, it was up today 1.3%. And actually, gold did manage to crack its head above 1,300. It's at 1,304 right now, outpacing silver. The gold-silver ratio is near 90-1. Silver was up, but not nearly as much as gold today. Silver at 1456. Now we've got some bigger predictions. This one, Bitcoin to 30,000. 3 killer reasons why Bitcoin will smash 30,000 before 2020. And those killer reasons have to do with Facebook. And JP Morgan, the guy thinks that Facebook and JP Morgan are going to push it, and also Fidelity launching its platform. Those are decent reasons. This one, Bitcoin to the moon. What does this one say? Actually says Bitcoin to the moon. Forbes again. I don't even remember what this one says, but they're all pumping away here. What else? Bitcoin up, euro. This is interesting. I read that today, if you bought at any time other than November, December 2017 or January 2018, everyone who ever bought Bitcoin is up again. It's pretty interesting because the price is close to $9,000. But year over year, Bitcoin is now up, according to Bloomberg Crypto. And BitPay guy, we talked about him, JP Morgan, Facebook, and AT&T. Well, Brian Kelly, now he's got his reasons for Bitcoin skyrocketing. His are Fidelity, Wall Street, and TD Ameritrade. Now, those of you listening to this program, I was mentioning them well over a year ago. Wall Street, TD Ameritrade, and Fidelity. So now Brian Kelly, he's on CNBC saying 3 factors to trigger the next rally. It's interesting. There's already been a rally, but they are acting as if this is nowhere near over. Could end tomorrow. But here, look at this one. This is CNBC. And I showed you the other one where CNBC just put Bitcoin. That's a tweet. But look at this one. They put a rocket. It happened. Could 10,000 be next for Bitcoin? Put a rocket ship. Unbelievable. Someone there owns Bitcoin. Looks like they own 0.00196894 Bitcoin. We're just about done here with these pumping predictions. This is CNBC again. What does this one say? Calling all Bitcoin bulls. Bitcoin futures on track for the best month since they were created in 2017. Unbelievable. That is Bitcoin Pump Central. And now there's a lot of stories, and I'm going to get to all of them, about the crypto price going to rise due to the halving. This guy says 95% accurate. Indicator calls Bitcoin at 1 million. All right. I suppose you can model out anything if you have a target in mind, and that's what they've done there. A lot of those stories, let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's important to know, as Bitcoin demand increases, Bitcoin supply not only can't increase to meet demand, but actually will be decreasing due to halving. So we did a whole show on that. That is the rationale, where it is different. And it is different. It's not just like any other thing where if the price goes up and the demand goes up, then the supply can increase, or it's possible. And here's another point here, interesting. If the gold demand and price increases, more gold will be sought out at higher cost. A self-adjusting supply comes to market. If Bitcoin demand and price increases, no extra amount of Bitcoin can be mined, and indeed, as time goes on, less can be mined until 21 million. And also, there's been 3 or 4 million Bitcoin already lost. So the supply is definitely not there. The question is, if you do get this increase in demand and you can't satisfy it through derivatives or some type of Bitcoin substitute, which might be hard to do, then it's possible the price could rise to these ridiculous levels that they're saying. Yeah, they're pretty, and Bitcoin is pretty much finished bringing new supply to market. As we mentioned, 18 million, almost 18 million have already been mined. Let's see. All right. There's a couple of others, but I'm going to leave you one more. Here's Yahoo touting Bitcoin 10,000. It's no big deal, but the best one is $1 million. Now, this isn't John McAfee, who has $1 million price prediction out for next week. This is a guy named John Altucher. He was the face of Bitcoin pumping in November, December 2017. So many, whatever company he worked for, they just had him on every channel. Every YouTube you watched, you'd watch a video with him explaining why it was going higher. Well, he's back. He was on with the woman Daniela Carbon-Taub of, I think she works at Kitco, and Bitcoin at 1 million is not out of the question. All right, well, that's our recap. Tomorrow we're going to do Saturday night silver, and Sunday we'll do solid gold Sunday. But let's see what you all are saying in the comments about cryptocurrencies. And let's see what we have. I'm going to put up the Smaulgld fundraising page for all you mug stackers. You want to buy mugs, that does help the site out. You want to donate, that helps. Become a patron, become a subscribe star mug club member, that helps us out. Sending articles of value or fiat currency or checks to P.O. Box 714, Dover, New Hampshire 03821. That helps out. And even just showing up every night, that helps out, and sharing the videos. But there's your, or you can donate via Bitcoin or Litecoin. If you got some crypto profits you want to unload, just hold up your phone and send them to old Smaulgld. There they are. There are the QR codes staring in the face. And there's just two examples of the wonderful Smaulgld game-changing mugs. The Smaulgld Super Classic and Classic mugs, those I send directly from Smaulgld headquarters, priority shipping. I'll go to the post office tomorrow if anyone orders tonight, and you will get them. The shipping is included. Also, if you're interested in buying gold or silver, please consider doing so through the Smaulgld site. The affiliate links, you can visit SD Bullion, Money Metals Exchange, Golden Eagle Coin. And if you visit those sites through the Smaulgld affiliate links below this BitChute or this YouTube or on the Smaulgld website, Smaulgld will get a small commission if you make a purchase, but you'll pay no more no less than if you visited any of those sites directly. So please consider doing that. If you are indeed buying gold or silver, it is not investment advice to do that. But if you made your decision, you've discussed with whomever you need to discuss your purchases of gold and silver with, a financial advisor, significant other, whomever, please consider doing so through the Smaulgld links, Smaulgld affiliate links. All right. Let's see what we got in the chats. Again, if you want my attention, put SMAULGLD, and then your comment will be highlighted. Otherwise, I just scroll through looking to see if there's anything of interest. All right, so we got Ann here and Seth. Hello, everyone. And Fiona and Rod and Pablo, all regulars. Anyone new? We've got AUAG. He's here. He's got EOS. He says, all right. You guys are talking amongst yourself. That's nice. JB Wentworth, Smaulgld. Why can't they split a coin just as stock shares are split? Well, first of all, there's no corporation to do that. You're in control of. So if you have a cryptocurrency and you want to spend it, and let's say you want to buy a $4,400 car and you have 1 Bitcoin, and the car dealer accepts Bitcoin, you can split your Bitcoin. You type in $4,400 and they take half the Bitcoin to pay for it, and then it gets sent. So the divisibility of Bitcoin, I think, is into what's called Satoshis. They are divisible, and they represent just a smaller amount of value as you get smaller. So there's 21 million, and I think it's like 21 quadrillion Satoshis, but that doesn't change the overall value pie. In fact, I've seen this discussion on Twitter. It's ridiculous. If you have just think of it as a pizza, and your pizza guy says, "Do you want to cut in 4 slices or 8 slices?" And you say, "No, I'll have 4. I couldn't eat 8. I'm not that hungry." I mean, the slice of the pie is the same, no matter how many slices you cut it into. You don't get more pizza because you cut it into more slices. But there are people who actually believe that because you can divide Bitcoin into Satoshis, that somehow you have more. You don't. You have the same economic value. If you have a half a Bitcoin and a half a Bitcoin, you got a whole Bitcoin. You don't have more Bitcoin because you have two halves. But anyway, what else do we have here? You guys are talking about how to... Lewis, since this is Crypto Nights, it's probably your idea on EOS and Bitcoin SV. Thanks. I don't know as much about EOS. Bitcoin SV, I don't know what happened there with why. I know what Roger Ver did. He did not like Segwit. He did not like Lightning as the solution. So he just wanted this bigger block. So I get that. So he did the fork. And I believe he was with, I don't know all the drama around it, but I believe he had the support of this Craig Wright guy when they split off and they decided Bitcoin Cash is just going to be bigger blocks. They got a big Chinese miner on board and it was somewhat centralized, but they could argue that it was fast. I don't know what caused Bitcoin Satoshi's vision, the spinoff, to go with Craig Wright. I don't know if they had some type of falling out or why they did that. So I don't really know. What I do know is that a lot of the exchanges dumped Bitcoin SV. I don't really have an opinion. I don't think that even if he can prove he's Satoshi, that it's going to matter one way or the other. The ecosystem is clearly larger and the hash rate is bigger around the regular Bitcoin, the original Bitcoin. These are just forks. There's nothing wrong. I don't have a problem with forks. People get annoyed. The only problem, I guess, is when they try to brand them as the original. That does create some user confusion in the space. I mean, Roger Ver was going around calling Bitcoin Bitcoin Core, and he was calling his own coin Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin. No, I don't know about that. All right. That's about it then. I want to thank everyone for joining. Well, it's been over an hour, so thank you very much. And remember, tomorrow is Saturday Night Silver with Smaulgld. So we will see you tomorrow. And then Sunday, we'll see you for Solid Gold Sunday. Maybe we'll have Seamus on board. But if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to turn it over to Bernie, and he's going to give you the 10-second Bernie countdown. Bernie, you ready?
I'm ready. So, please send money to Smaulgld. And if you're part of the 1%, write him a big check. Because you don't deserve to have that money. So here's my...
Bernie, you got to be nice to the listeners.
I am nice to them. It's nice for them to know that they shouldn't have money that they have. So, I'll give you the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1%, 0. Have a good night.
Thanks, Bernie. Have a good night.